What's going on, people?
Hey.
This is another great installment of the film review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to mind. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracey.
And we review culture in movies, music, politics, and society. And we have a great one that we just came from watching.
Yes.
It is a great film. It will have you going from the twists and turns and everything. And we are happy to say that the trailer does not do it justice. However, it does drive you to the theater to see it. And being that Jovan Adepo,
yes, the star of the film,
is the star of the film, of course, you know you're gonna go there. So the trailer makes you look and say, is this gonna be another one of those films where the black character bites it? We are happy to say, well, you just have to see the film. We'll say that much. But let me tell you, this is a cross between The Thing, Combat. If you ever remember that series that used to come on, when it came on for us, it came on UHF, and it was in reruns, called Combat.
Right.
It's that Combat, The Thing. It's Grindhouse all the way through. I mean, like, it's like when it opens up from the very beginning, from, you've seen this in the trailer, and you see the plane, the B-52 flying, and then you see the bullets come up. But it's really interesting. It's a reimagining of what the Second World War would have been like if troops were integrated, I'll say.
Yeah.
You know, and what rankings people would have had naturally if what had happened in 1865 had let it go its own course. And by the time it got to the 1940s, this would have been what you would have seen, kind of like what you see today. So J.J. Abrams, who produced it.
It was directed by Julius Avery, produced by, again, J.J. Abrams and Lindsay Weber. The cast was amazing.
Go to the
You
cast.
mentioned Jovan
Adepo.
As well as Wyatt Russell, Mathilit Oliver, John Magaro, Jenny Tafar, Pala Asbach, and Bukim Woodman. He did an excellent job. I mean, I was surprised to see him because I had saw the trailers, but we didn't know that Bukim was going to be in
Yeah, we didn't.
That was a great surprise.
And the character that he plays,
right, strong character,
which goes back to if in 1865, if they hadn't diversed everything by 1867 with a backroom deal with some whiskey and cigars, if it hadn't been reversed, then this is what the 1940s would have looked like. So, you know, I like that J.J. Abrams is bringing a different look, and different directors are bringing a different look to make it contemporary to what's happening today with the military.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'll give it that. Now, the plot of the film. Young man, newly drafted into the military, went through boot camp already. So automatically you don't see any of that, but that's talked about in the backstory, is talked about within a scene leading up to some action, and so the story is all about Jovan Adepo.
Right. And this is also the eve of D-Day, and they're a paratrooper squad.
That's right. And so the story wraps around, so the world is the eve before D-Day, and they have a mission that they have to accomplish that will assist in the success of D-Day, if they can succeed. So this whole story is surrounding that. That's the world that you're in, And then Jovan Adepo's character is the one who Boyce is his name. Boyce is his character, and his character in the story has to arc to make this successful.
He definitely did.
He's a young man, is past boot camp. They're on the B-52 getting ready to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Right.
You know, to paratroop down to the drop location where they need to be. And this is where the initiating event happens, and also at the same time, a little bit later in the film, his dramatic need is introduced. So it's out of order. Usually it's a dramatic need,
right? And
then there's the initiating event.
It's definitely out of order. It was just so much going on in the beginning of this film. I mean, you're taking on a ride, and it's a great ride because it's just, you have, first of all, I love how the cast, it was just multiple
all types
conversations
of
going on, ethnicities, conversations going on. I mean, they're throwing dialogue back and forth. You have action going on. You had with special effects, you have bombs going off, and I mean, it was just amazing. And you have, it's an ensemble cast, right?
But within the ensemble cast,
right,
you find out that some that you would appear usually to be the lead,
right,
are not the leads, and that's very enjoyable for a person. It's a black person. It's very enjoyable to see that the traditional leads in a European American film, where there are European Americans in it, that it is not, that those are not the traditional leads. Okay.
And first of all that action is happening within maybe the first 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was great. It was a great chaos. It was just
they're
much
talking,
going on.
and it sets up, and then about in the 7 minutes, the action ensues, and you saw that in the trailer. So you see the bombs, and you see the bullets. So within the first 10 minutes, you see the initiating event that kicks the story off. Later on, as the people find themselves back together, it's kind of like one of the installments of the Fast and the Furious, when especially when Tyrese is in it, and they're finding themselves. You know, they find themselves back together after a drop.
Separated,
You know, except for there is no. Well, we'll get to that. I'll get to the politics of it in a second. But so it's like that, and then they come back together, and then the character of Boyce, his dramatic need is introduced in the film about maybe 15 to 17 minutes in.
The title of the film, it's called Overlord.
Overlord, that's right. Okay. So his dramatic need is introduced about 15 to 17 minutes into the film. And then, so, boom. So you have the initiating event, his dramatic need, what they need to do. Let's go for it. The ensemble cast has something they need to do. But he finds a separate thing, a separate ideal, a separate purpose besides what their mission is to do, which is saving someone. And you have to go see the film to see that. Okay, so you know how in the Dirty Dozen, you know how Jim Brown is in it, and we were happy to see Jim Brown in the film, right? We were happy to see him in the film. You know, I saw it in reruns on UHF again, and then later got to see it, you know, on DVD, and then later, you know, on cable, you know. But so we get to see him in a Dirty Dozen, but then there's a scene. Now this shouldn't be a spoiler because everybody should see Dirty Dozen. He does this run because, you know, Jim Brown was a football player. You know, he did 9 years Cleveland Browns. He said, I'm out to Hollywood. Forget you, Art Modell. I'm out to Hollywood, and they haven't won a Super Bowl. They were doing championships then. When he was there, they were winning championships. They haven't won a Super Bowl since Jim Brown. They haven't won a championship, or the Super Bowl came the next year, as they tell me, and they haven't won since. and then Brown went down and started the Cincinnati Bengals. They've been to the big show. But anyway, okay. So Jim Brown runs across, and then something happens, and you be like, damn, okay, same old thing. Well, we are happy to say, well, you just have to see the film.
We don't want to get a
film away, but we will say this. You know how in the movies these days, they have okay, a perfect example. If anybody who I'm a film historian, so I'll go back. If you watch the films with Stephen Fletcher or Stephen Fetchit, it depending on which name you use, there's one movie where there's a bank heist, and he is the lone black person in the bank, and of course he's got a mop and a bucket, and everybody else, they're not British, but they got the stiff upper lip, and they're sitting there calm. They got their hands up calm. And of course, Stephen Fletcher or Fetchit goes, and his lip and his eyes are bulging out, and he's like, and he's all afraid and stuff. Well, guess what?
Was it in this?
It was not in this film. The actor Jovan, he delivers the right amount of fear, cautiousness, to the point to where he arcs, where he has enough.
Yes.
Where he has had enough, because in the beginning, within the backstory, they talk about how something happened in the barracks and he wasn't able to deliver then, so they don't ever believe that he will be able to deliver out there on the battlefield. He's just not cut out for it, right? Because he's just newly in there, went through basic training, and now he's got a rifle in his hand. And even there's references where they say, I can tell by the way you hold the gun that you can't do anything. Right.
Kind of reminded me of a soldier's story and a little bit of Full Metal Jacket and Platoon.
Yeah.
Bits and pieces. Meets what, action adventure.
Yeah. It's definitely Grindhouse. It's definitely Grindhouse. Yeah. But yeah, I would say Full Metal Jacket after the basic training, when they're out there in the thick, in the shit, as they called it in Full Metal. If you had never seen Full Metal Jacket, you do have to see this film. There are classic films that talk, of course, that has to do with Vietnam, right? But so this is more about, more about what's happening over in France at the time. It's based in France. We're going to tell you that, and it's a little French village, right?
And they're fighting Nazis,
and they're fighting Nazis, but when they land in a town, they find out that something's going on where the village people are being taken over to this church that the Nazis have commandeered, and something is happening to them where they're coming back not the way that they left. And so it turns into a mystery. It's a mystery,
suspense,
a thriller, a suspense thriller, action, horror, Grindhouse. Oh, wait a minute, it is a horror picture. Like I said, it's like The Thing, the original Thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The original Thing mixed with The Thing from 1981. Because you see some elements that come in, and so it's well put together, and it's worth seeing. The pacing on it is just excellent. The arcing of the hero, because this is a hero's journey by no stretch of the imagination. You hear about his weakest point. In dialogue, which gives the backstory of their presence. But you see him here, and he's uncertain, but as he goes on, he begins to build, and by the end of the film, he is definitely arced to where he is, and it's a little love story thrown into it too, a little infatuation love story. A good European American film always has some romance, and there's some romance in the film that goes along, a budding relationship, which kind of reminds me of Spike Lee's film about the black soldiers and the Man on the Mountain. I think that was the name of the Man in the Mountain. If you haven't seen that film, there is a scene in it. I mean, Spike Lee is just a phenomenal director, and something happens in the film where one of the soldiers winds up looking just like the man in the mountain, and so you just have to see that. So it kind of borrows elements from other films where they talk about all black platoons, but then again, this is a platoon that is integrated in the 1940s, which was not necessarily the truth. Probably they battle, and once they came together, they probably did battle out on the combat, but flying together, I don't think that necessarily happened. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. But like I said, the reimagining of what it would have been if all things were fair. Yeah,
Spike Lee's movie, Miracle at St. Anna.
That's right, Miracle at St. Anna.
Similar to that movie, also we left that out.
That's right. That's what I just said. I said there's a scene in there where there is a romance within that film, it's like, so I can see them borrowing from Spike Lee on that.
So if you haven't seen Miracle at St. Anna, definitely check it out. It's one of Spike Lee's great films.
Yeah, great films. Like we've always said, Spike Lee is doing work that will go down. A lot of it is going to go down in the canon.
Right.
It's going to be in the canon when you really think about it. So this film, the acting in the film is superb. It goes from a war picture to drama. The acting between the characters, drama within it. Then it goes into horror. Then it goes into suspense. I mean, so it's a multiple different genres mixed together in this piece that is making this a phenomenal piece. And to see that there is a black man who is the lead, is definitely phenomenal.
He carries himself. He's reminding me of a young, like a Sidney Poitier.
I can see that. Yeah. I can see that exactly. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been trying to kind of move up in decades and kind of move to finding people who are more like Denzel. Right. And so they find Denzel type people. Right. But he is really goes back to a Sidney Poitier. He's a throwback, really, and he carries himself well, and he delivers in this picture as an action hero. And for all those people, I am so glad that it wasn't a good thing for them to do, but in a way it was a good thing for us, because when they hacked the Sony studio woman, and they hacked it and they released it out to everyone, and they said that black men could not be leads in films, that doesn't sell around the world. Now that the system is opened up and you see a lot of Chinese and Japanese studios and even Russian studios coming in now, and they're telling the stories of America, the whole thing about the black man not being able to be a character that can go across the globe. It was really broke up with Equalizer. Yeah. But then if anything else, it was really broke up with Black Panther. Yeah. You know what I mean? And of course the Creed 1 and then Creed 2 is coming, and it's really, if anybody remembers, they say that Sylvester Stallone wrote that in response to the popularity and the success of Muhammad Ali. Yes. And they were looking for the great white hope that would take out Muhammad Ali, and they never did it. So they made the Creed character, the original Creed character, like Muhammad Ali, and here comes this great white hope in Sylvester Stallone, which the Creed character underestimated. And in the end, well, if you haven't seen Rocky 1, 2, 5, 7, and then you haven't seen the Creed, the director of Creed takes this story and corrects the story and takes the great white hope out, and he becomes Creed basically Creed Jr.'s trainer
Right.
in part 1, and it goes from there, and then Creed delivers. So this Creed 2 that's coming has to do with, really, it appears to me, just looking at it, why does Drago want his son to fight Creed when he killed his father in the ring?
Right.
Why does Drago have anger towards Creed 2 when he beat him?
Right.
And what I can see is because he knows that Rocky
Right.
is training Creed Jr.
That's
basically.
right. Yeah.
And so he wants his son, because Rocky made him bleed, thus those steroids. When a person bleeds and they have steroids, they say scientifically, if you bleed, you draw up and you get weak, and he was hitting those steroids, and that's how he was able to even kill Creed Sr. And so Creed Jr. is now in the ring with him, so we're looking forward to that film on November 21st.
Yeah, they
we're
sold
looking
the trailer today, so
we're looking forward to that.
Definitely go out and see Creed too. November
And you
21st.
see how that is, and that has to do with Panther.
Right.
You see how that is? So all of this is happening, and anyone who says that there is not a renaissance in film, and we have to be very, at this point as black people, covetous of what we're seeing in film, because film will push along and change what's happening in the real world. So we can't, you know, some people say about preachy and being preachy or whatever, but if the story is good, it gets the point across and it moves people, because entertainment and music moves people's minds to a different place.
Yeah, because
Go ahead.
Overlord is an amazing film.
It is. And
I'm telling you, I went in expecting to see, I said, okay, well, I know it's going to be like a soldier story, some type of action adventure, and a little bit of science fiction in it, but it went way beyond that. Because again, the producer, as well as he's the director, J.J. Abrams, anybody that's familiar with him knows that his work is an action, drama, and science fiction. So you're getting all of this like in one film. And he's some of the films that he's done you may have seen already, like Star Trek, the one that came out 2009 with Zoe Saldana in it. Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and the upcoming Star Wars 2019, Star Wars 9. And then also regarding Henry, and that movie was a drama. So he does some of like everything, and it's funny that like all of the genres he covered were like all like bits and pieces in this one film.
That's right, put all together. And pacing and the stitch of the story and stitching these different elements together. Superb, A1, and I do believe that it's Oscar worthy. At the end of the day, bringing all kinds of movies up to go against Black Panther, you know, and putting out movies on the same day as Creed 2 is coming out. It seems like to me, you know, heads don't screw on and off, but you know, it should be Oscar worthy too. If you're gonna put up A Star Is Born, you know, up against it, then you know you need to put this up. One is a musical, one is an action adventure Marvel film. I don't know how they get into the, but anyway, this should go there because the acting was just that great. The CGI in it, as well as the music, because you remember the one scene when they had like this eerie sounding type of music. So the music is definitely builds the world that you're seeing. And so everything in it is just and it really is Oscar worthy. You know, the music was like a combination of fitting the scene, more like a score. And then they had contemporary music that really combined, fit. Which it really nice. Fit. Yeah. So it is well worth seeing. You will enjoy yourself. You will. I mean, you'll just enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. So we went through that. We talked about that. The dialogue within it, great. The costuming, excellent. you know, everything looks authentic to the time period.
Cinematography was great.
Yes, the angles that they catch, the color on the film and different scenes and emotion, just excellent.
Would that be the makeup that they did?
Oh yeah, the makeup, the MUAs. The MUAs really brought that to life, making grotesque. I mean, they really brought it to the forefront. It was like really incorporating, because nowadays they use CGI a lot to create creatures that are deformed, but this was actually latex and the actual use of MUAs to pull these creatures
with
off.
Really good actors, like acting beyond this grotesque face.
That's right.
And it wasn't cheesy. It wasn't, like I said, it was J.J. Abrams. And if anybody knows his work, I mean, it was a good film. And like I said, the lead actor, he reminds me of a Sidney Poitier, his acting skill. He really arced in this film from just being a young man, and you can tell that he was frightened when he was up in the air, you know, before the explosion happened. And we're not going to go into
but he
details,
he wasn't playing it like a buffoon.
No, you couldn't. No. Yeah, the camera angles told it. Like you would see like the sweat, and he sat there composed, but just his like body language.
You know, he was just sitting there calm, trying to calm himself.
And you're like, oh, look at this young kid. You know, he's in the middle of all this chaos. But I mean,
by the end of the film, has arced into a full man, ready to go on.
His acting was so good; it was just even in the eyes.
In the eyes,
you know, like a look of innocence from the beginning till in the end. He had been through so much
that his eyes told the story. That
totally different.
That 1,000, what they say in the Full Metal Jacket, that 1,000-yard stare where you're just. Now you have arrived because you've been in the shit, as they say. So now we've been through all that. What would you rate this film?
You know, I would have to give this film a 10.
A 10.
I mean, A+. It was really good. I was surprised. I thought I would enjoy the film from the trailers, right? So I was looking forward to seeing it, but I didn't think that the film was going to be as good as it was.
On this level.
I mean, it takes you on a ride. It's just a combination of everything. Drama, like you said, suspense, like action, just an excellent acting. You know, so just imagine Sidney Poitier. We're used to seeing him like in dramas and suspense films. But just place Sidney Poitier in a grindhouse style film. With all of those genres combined. It was amazing. And this young actor, Jovan Adepo was amazing.
Yeah. We had it right for the first half, you know. You know, but we want to say this I want to say this before I give my rating. With all of the genres that are sewn in again, the way that they're sewn in, and you know, we have talked about grindhouse before. We talked about grindhouse and cheesecake when we reviewed the movie Assassination Nation and Peppermint, right? And you go back and watch that one, you can see all of the film reviews. You can hear them on SoundCloud on the film review movies, music, culture. You go right there to SoundCloud, you can listen to all of ours, and then you can see us. Matter of fact, what we do is you can see us on Vimeo, and that is for a fee, because go there, listen to your favorite ones, go there and purchase the ones, put them in your library. It's like a GoFundMe, so we can keep on going with this, but you get something to put into your digital library, and then, you know, we kick so much more than just talking about the film. We talk about how the culture within what we talk about affects us. So
we bring it to you live. We go into the theater, we see the film, we jump in the car, and we kick off our review. So you know, so you can see us multiple ways. You can also see us on YouTube. So you can listen to us through podcasts.
You can see us on YouTube. Purchase the episodes that you like on Vimeo that kick a lot of information that you need to have to, do your own research with. So, being that I've said that, now my rating on the film Overlord, I give it a 10. Most definitely, you will enjoy this film. You will enjoy it. So, that's it. This is a quick one. Today, we went through everything. We would talk about politics, but you saw that, and I'll just say this: I don't agree with CNN. I'll say that I think that it was rude, and just because you don't like a person because he's handing your butt to you, doesn't mean that you can't be civil. Still. So that's what we'll say. We'll talk about that probably more tomorrow, about the CNN reporter and the yanking the mic and all that. We'll probably talk about that more on the next film review. So this has been another great episode of the film review. Movies, music, culture, and whatever else comes to mind. We are the husband and wife team. I'm Crazy D.
I'm Tracey.
And we review culture and movies, music, politics, and society. And we'll see you next time.